Welcome to Wake Up and Live with Christopher Flake. Tune in each day as Pastor Chris shares a short inspirational message of encouragement on a variety of topics. So wake up and live empowered, blessed, loved. Now let's listen to today's message.
Good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm so glad that you could join me. Again, thank you for all you that listen from all the different countries. It amazes me how many people tune in, and I just want to thank you for that. As we've been talking about just the different decisions you and I can make in life that are going to cause us to be successful, cause us to walk in kingdom power, and cause our life, I think, in the long run to be in a great and a better place. And today I want to talk about what I'm calling the compassionate decision, right? That really kind of says that I'm going to start each day and greet each day with the spirit, a forgiving spirit. You know, forgiveness is the secret that is hidden in plain sight. I mean, it costs nothing and it's worth millions. It's available to everyone, but really used by few. I mean, if you harness the power of forgiveness, you will be sought after and regarded highly. And consequently, you'll also be forgiven by others. You know, the compassionate decision I'm talking about today changes the way most people view forgiveness. A forgiving spirit allows you to let go of the past and embrace a compelling new future. Harboring anger and resentment for others, regardless of whether or not they deserve it, poisons your soul and limits your growth. And when you embrace forgiveness through the compassionate decision, your level of personal success really becomes boundless. And so I want us to look at that today because, you know, the traditional wisdom tells us the most effective way with dealing with rage or resentment is a course in anger management. I mean, there are mental health professionals who deal exclusively in anger management. There are ads in the newspaper for it. There are courses at your local college. I mean, it's just part of our cultural consciousness. You know, an athlete that does something crazy, the team sends them to anger management. You know, in 2006, football Tennessee Titans defensive lineman Albert Haynesworth stomped on a helmetless head of the Dallas Cowboys lineman. It was after a play, and it was just out of sheer anger. I mean, he just had this outburst which really required dozens of stitches and reconstructive surgery to this lineman's face. And you know what? Albert humiliated the team, and the NFL reprimanded him and Albert with a 5-game suspension and encouraged him to take an anger management course. I mean, we hear about some celebrities' court cases with part of the sentence becoming anger management courses. Fortune 500 executives often enroll staff managers in these courses. You know, Jack Nicholson and Adam Sandler, they co-starred in this movie called Anger Management. So this traditional wisdom is just horribly flawed. I mean, think about it. The term anger management. Why would you want to manage something like anger? Forget about managing anger. Let's get rid of it. The anger resolution can be accomplished by utilizing this compassionate decision. You know, I will greet this day with a forgiving spirit. And yes, my friend, before you even ask the question, it is really just that simple. You know, forgiveness is the ultimate resolution of anger. You know, for years I thought forgiveness was something to be hoarded, you know, something to be doled out on a case-by-case basis, you know, determined by whether the person deserved it. It was kind of like a knighthood bestowed upon the person who crawled into my presence, wailing and begging me for it. If I deemed them worthy, I would lay my sword upon their shoulders, and you are forgiven, now depart from me. I mean, naturally, part of me thrived on that anger, and I had grudges for a long time, but as the grudges build, they can weigh us down, and eventually we're so bogged down that we often can't even remember who to forgive or the specifics of the original event. We become preoccupied by other people, and our lives become catastrophic messes. Kind of by forgiving, we complete this ultimate course in anger management resolution. You know, I couldn't find a rule in any book I've ever read, including the Bible, that said in order for me to forgive somebody, the person who committed the offense had to ask for it or deserve it. And I couldn't find anywhere that said, well, you can forgive a person as long as he or she hasn't been doing the same stupid thing over and over again for 20 years. Everything I have read and everything I felt within my soul said, forgive, let it go. I see now that by forgiving, I am giving myself the ultimate gift, because forgiveness affects me much more than it affects another. It's not even mandatory for the person I am forgiving to be aware of it. Forgiveness often means for me to forgive, to be the forgiver, than it does for the person being forgiven. You know, sometimes when I'm talking about this, people say, so they're just going to get away with it. I'm just supposed to forgive and forget. No, I'm not suggesting that at all. Forgiveness is about you. Trust is about them. Forgiveness is about the past. Trust is about the future. Do we forgive somebody who steals from us? Yes. Do we continue to do business with them? No. Forgiveness is the decision, not an emotion. If we approach it through our emotions inevitably drag us the other way. But if you will notice, emotions follow decisions. When we decide to forgive, our emotions follow along. I mean, how many times have you been trying to fall asleep at night when suddenly your peaceful trance is interrupted and your eyes pop open? And you remember a guy at work that said to you what he did to you, and you just can't believe it. You keep replaying what happened over and over, thinking about what you should have said differently or what you might say tomorrow. And if you had the chance and you think about just punching him out. That's right, ladies. 40 or 50-year-old men still think like little boys in the sandbox. I mean, we're consumed in the middle of the night, wide awake, thinking about this person. Or perhaps you're driving along and everything's fine and you're comfortable having a great conversation with your family and you remember something and your spouse asks, "What's wrong?" And you answer, "What do you mean what's wrong?" "Well, you just stopped talking and you haven't said anything for 5 minutes." And then you realize you were thinking about that guy and what he said and what you wished you would have said. But here's the crazy thing. 90% of the time, the people we're so irritated and bent out of shape about, those boasters who have offended us oftenly so deeply and are sleeping peacefully in their beds, living their lives absolutely without a clue that we're even thinking about them. Often they're unaware that they've done anything to us or to offend us in the first place. So if they're not going to ask for forgiveness, and it doesn't matter if they do ask or not, and if it doesn't matter if they deserve it or not, and if it doesn't matter how many times they've done it, and if they're not even thinking about it, but it's ruining your life, why should you forgive them? Because it's ruining your life, not theirs. Trust me on this. You cannot become the parent, the spouse, or the friend you could otherwise by being consumed by an unforgiving attitude. Forgiveness is a gift, and give yourself. Receive it now. Occasionally, you're on the flip side of the coin. Someone is angry at you, something you said or did to offend somebody. Now the other person has the opportunity to forgive you. Assuming this person is aware of this compassionate decision as you are, you must give the opportunity to work through his anger. I mean, it can be challenging to humbly to ask somebody for forgiveness, but it works. Asking for forgiveness is an amazing experience, and one that only truly extraordinary people will do. It's much easier, simpler to let the stuff just slide, especially if the issue involves someone you're not going to run into again, or someone who doesn't on the surface matter to you that much. But if he or she is a human being, a person on this planet with you, he or she matters. It takes courage to walk up to someone and say, "Hey, I need to talk to you. I owe you an apology, and I want to ask you for forgiveness." Oftentimes, your humility will create a bond or forge a new friendship that will benefit you in some way. This action almost always dissipates and resolves the anger. In his classic book, An Enemy Called Average, John Mason wrote, "When faced with the decision to forgive and forget, never make the excuse, but no one knows what that person did to me." I mean, that may be true, he said, but the question is, do you know what unforgiveness will do to you? What does unforgiveness do to us? I mean, have you ever experienced the mental illusion that life has you cornered? Have you ever felt like you're boxed in, discouraged, controlled by outside circumstances? When I have felt that way in my own life, I've determined over the years that there is generally someone I haven't forgiven or someone whom I haven't asked for forgiveness from. The person's name just kind of sticks in the back of my mind as kind of a subconsciously tapping me on the shoulder, diverting my focus from where it should be. I mean, there is this story of an old Indian man who tells his grandson about a fight going on inside between two wolves. One wolf was evil and full of anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, and arrogance, and the self-pity, the guilt, the resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, and ego. And the other wolf was a good wolf, a wolf full of forgiveness. And the grandson asked grandfather, which wolf wins? And the old man simply replied, the one I feed. Most likely, as you listen to these words, there's a fight going on inside you between those same two wolves. The fight is revealing itself to you as someone's name or a visual image of that face. You can kill the wolf that contains all that anger and sorrow and regret and resentment by embracing the good wolf and choose forgiveness. This is one person you need to forgive that if you don't, your effectiveness as a husband, as a wife, a mother, or a father, or a friend, or a leader, it will just suffer. The key to bringing your dreams into reality is forgiveness, and specifically forgiveness of this one person. This one person, my friend, is you. We have piled so much onto our own shoulders. There are many things we intended to do that we didn't do, and so many promises we made but we didn't keep, and so many goals we set that we just didn't achieve. Over time, they've piled up on us, and the weight can be crushing. You have to forgive yourself. See, because for many of us, our greatest enemies have been ourselves. Every mistake, every miscalculation, every stumble we make is replayed in our minds. Every broken promise, every day wasted, every goal that we didn't reach has energized the disgust we feel about our predicament. And this dismay develops into a paralyzing grip. When we disappoint ourselves, it sets in motion a continual cycle of disappointment. It's true, it's impossible to fight an enemy living in our heads. So forgive yourself, begin anew. The simple act of forgiving yourself will change your life. You will position to become the person you want to be when you finally ditch the weight of guilt and shame you've been piling on yourself for years. Forgive yourself. Your family's not mad at you. Your friends aren't mad at you. I'm not mad at you. God's not mad at you. You don't need to be mad at yourself either. Let it go. Forgive yourself and begin again. From this day forward, your history needs to stop controlling your destiny. Your life has just begun. Your forgiveness is valuable only when you give it away. By this simple act of forgiveness, you can release the demons of your past and create a new beginning for yourself. Forgive the people who don't ask for it. Forgive yourself. From now on, your act of forgiveness will free you from the unproductive thoughts. Your bitterness, resentment, and anger will be gone. It's time to begin again. Say it. I will greet each day with a forgiving spirit. So as always, wake up and live empowered, blessed, and loved, and with a forgiving spirit. I hope today that this message spoke to you, and maybe it stirred up some things that you need to deal with, but let's let it go. Begin to forgive. As you walk in this forgiveness, I guarantee your life is going to change, and I pray right now for anyone who's dealing with unforgiveness in their heart, that today you would let it go. Today would begin a new day for you, and you would allow the spirit of forgiveness and come inside you and set you free. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Hope again to see you tomorrow. God bless, and walk in this compassionate decision with a forgiving heart. See you tomorrow.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Planet Fitness. Are you tired of making excuses of why you won't go to the gym? Excuses like, it costs too much, people will judge me. Well, with our $10 a month pricing, along with the judgment-free zone, there are no excuses. At Planet Fitness, we create an environment where you can relax, go at your own pace, and just do your own thing. This is your planet. You belong. So sign up today.
Thank you for joining us today, and remember to wake up and live empowered, blessed, loved.